All right, it's another road episode of Comedy on 11, the show where I talk about comedy and music. This week, we're talking about comedy festivals. What are they? Are they worth it? Southwest Airlines' answer to breaking Emily Wolf's guitar, and my first week traveling on a flight with my KLOS carbon fiber Grand Cutaway Mini. I'm Thom Tran, comedian, actor, guitarist, nerd, cat dad. We are in my wonderful, luxurious room here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I decided to do this because it's 107 degrees outside. Maybe not that much, but it's hot. It's hot, you guys. And we're doing this in like 3 parts because I actually shot part of this before I left Los Angeles because I wanted to do a thing with the guitar, which is basically take it apart and then I put it back together here. We'll talk about that in just a couple of minutes. But I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the Blue Whale Comedy Festival. I'm going to be on the Next Wave Comedy Top 5 Comics to Watch show. Everything has so many words in the title. Like, I keep messing up the close carbon fiber Grand Cutaway Mini. Oh, I said it right, because it's just so many words. But I'm here for the festival. I thought about, why don't we talk about comedy festivals this episode? This is my 4th this year, and it's weird because it's the first year I've actually submitted for comedy festivals. And I've gotten into 4. Technically, I've gotten into 4. 2 of them were in Los Angeles, and one of them was like at my home club. So, I mean, technically I was in the comedy festival, but not really, because I just headlined the first weekend. Let's talk about all this. Let's talk about what comedy festivals are and what the point is, and are they worth it, and why we do them. So comedy festivals are exactly what it sounds like. You get a city or a comedy club, and they decide to put on a festival where you have comics from other cities submit, and then they come to your city, and then they like showcase. And they have big shows. Like this week here in Tulsa, they had David Cross last night, who was amazing. And tonight, after the show I'm going to be on, it's going to be Hannibal Buress, which is one of the reasons I was like, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to come to Tulsa, because I'm going to get to see the show, do the festival, and then go see Hannibal Buress, who is one of my all-time favorite comedians. And you'll hear me talk about, comedy specials, and the last actual comedy special, the real, like the special I saw was Hannibal Buress's. Unfortunately, he took that off the internet. We'll talk about all that in a minute. But what are comedy festivals? So, like I said, a city or a comedy club will put on an event, usually like a week long or a half a week long, and they invite comics from other cities and other countries, really, to submit for these comedy festivals, and you get to showcase in front of, well, let's talk about what they used to be. Just for Laughs Comedy Festival was like the biggest comedy festival in the world. It was like the pinnacle of comedy festivals. And back in the day, if you got selected for the Montreal Just for Laughs Comedy Festival, which is usually like in August, you'd go. You'd submit, your management would submit, your representatives would submit you. If you got selected to go to Just for Laughs, the idea was you'd have industry there. You'd have producers, networks, agents, managers checking out this new talent that they haven't seen, because now they're all in one place. And if you did well at JFL, Just for Laughs, you could get a development deal worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop a TV show with a network, or, an idea, or become a writer, or whatever. That's the idea. That's what JFL was for. Or you'd get in front of like bookers. You'd like bookers and comedy club owners from around the world would go to JFL to look for talent. That's what it was supposed to be. That's what it used to be. But I think because of the age of the internet and YouTube and Instagram and TikTok, it costs millions of dollars, I assume, to put on these festivals. And comics have to fly in and you have to put on these shows, and it's a whole thing, and it's great, it's huge, and deals got made. I hear stories about comics who would go to JFL and they would they'd leave without $1 million contract for like a 3-year development deal or whatever the case was. But that's the idea. That's what comedy festivals are for, or supposed to be for. That's what they were for many years. I don't know if that's the case anymore, to be quite honest. Because the hope is you go to a comedy festival, all this new talent is there, and you have industry there, and the industry sees you, these bookers see you, these talent managers, and then they book you for weeks at their club or their chain of clubs. So, you've got a booker who's in charge of, like, let's say the Improv, who have a chain of comedy clubs around the world. Your hope is that the booker sees you and they're like, hey, I want to book you for all the improvs around the country. And again, I don't know if it's like that anymore, because these bookers, they don't have to go to these festivals anymore, because they can just sit at their computer and watch TikTok, and they watch YouTube or whatever, and see who's hitting big, who's getting a lot of views. And it's sad to say that's how it's getting done now. So now, like, these comedy festivals seem like it's just a party. I mean, it's a huge cred to have on your resume that you did JFL. Absolutely. That still means something. I haven't been at JFL. I haven't been asked. I haven't even showcased for JFL. But I don't know if it is what it used to be. I know comics in the industry who went to JFL and they left with a development deal. And now it's just a big party. That's what it seems like. That's what it feels like to me. I mean, it is definitely an honor to get selected for JFL. All my friends that go say it's a great time. But I have not heard of a single person in the last, definitely not 5 years since the pandemic, probably in the last 10 years, who have gone to JFL and left with some serious management or representation or a development deal. Maybe some have. It is definitely a thing you want on your resume. But, like, that's what comedy festivals were for back in the day. And now you have festivals all year long. I submitted for festivals starting last year, and almost every month, I think there's a website you can look at where every month there's a comedy festival. And I've been to 4 this year. Again, technically 2 of them were in my hometown. And I already, knew the bookers and I knew the industry people there. So it was a thing I did because it was happening in my hometown. It was happening down the street. It was happening in Los Angeles, Burbank, and in Los Angeles. So I did those because I was there. I was there and I did them. But this was my first year submitting for festivals. And I've been doing comedy for, I'm going to say, like 20 years now. So let's get into why this is my first year doing festivals. I got turned off to comedy competitions very early in my career, like very, very young in my career. I got into a situation where I did a comedy competition thing, like a local comedy competition thing. And it was rigged, man. That's all that it was rigged. Like, it was so rigged. And that turned me off to competitions. And that's what I felt like festivals were. And you do have to submit to them. You have to submit to them. And that's the other thing that, like, turned off comedy festivals for me. Like, it costs a lot of money. It's like $25 to $45, depending on, like, if you submit on time or early or whatever. And I've probably spent $300 or $400 just in submission fees. And I'll have to look it up. I'll look up the official number before I post this. I'll go through my credit card statements and see how much money I've spent on submissions. Hey, this is Tom from the future. It was $259 I spent on submissions. And I've only been accepted to 4. And I think part of like what eh, I get that I'm not going to get accepted at every festival. The thing that pissed me off is that like when I didn't get selected, didn't even get an email. Like you don't even get a form letter from some of these festivals. They're like, hey, thanks for submitting. We didn't select you. Um, so yeah, between that and the fact that you hope industry will be at these festivals, and you hope talent managers will be there and bookers will be there, and that they will see you and they'll go, hey, we want to book you for our club. Sometimes that doesn't happen. Sometimes you go to a festival and it's like, it's just a party. Like I got to Tulsa last night. I don't know of any industry there or here. Um, it's an awesome festival. It's an awesome festival. Like the David Cross show was in Kane's Ballroom, which is the big ballroom here, and it was awesome. They had like a archway. People lined up down the road for this show. The room had to be 700 or 800 people. I was thinking it was like 1,000 people, but maybe just under 1,000. But it was a lot. The staff has been pretty awesome. And the thing I liked about this festival was like everything's down one road, literally on Main Street. Like the hotel I'm staying at is on Main Street. The main like all the shows are happening on this strip, in like different cafes and clubs and venues, and like all the official venues. Like the after party was at a bar that was next door to the pizza place where the artist lounge was. So like everything's happening right there, but it's not just like one venue has all the things. There's like a huge showroom. There's the side room. There is the artist area. There is, by the way, the artist lounge is at a pizza place, and the pizza looks dope. I haven't had any yet because I had chicken and waffles for lunch. I stuffed myself. But they're like, yeah, there's gonna be free pizza and free beer later. I was like, I don't drink, but I will eat the hell out of some pizza. That's another thing I was gonna talk about. Like the amount of money I think festival uh, festival organizers are saving on the fact that a lot of comedians don't drink anymore. Like I was there last night and they're like, yeah, you get some free drinks, and I was like, I don't drink. And then like I heard 3 other comics just go, can we get some water? Like the amount of money they must be saving on booze for the comics, because like it feels like nobody drinks anymore. But anyway, so comedy festivals used to be where comics got together, all showcased for bookers and club owners and talent managers from around the world. And it seems like it doesn't happen anymore. Like I did the first one I did this year and ever was the St. Louis Obispo Comedy Festival, the Slow Comedy Festival, which was a great weekend with my friends. It was like 3 hours north of Los Angeles. I drove up there, hung out with my buddies. We did comedy at night. We hung out during the day. I'd go to the gym, and then, oh, hey, there's this festival sponsor who has free burritos for lunch. Come over. Hey, I'd wake up, go to the gym. There's another place that has free pizza. And then we go do our shows and we hang out and whatever. So that was great. I got named Best of the Fest, which is a cool credit to have. But there was no industry that I know of there. I didn't have anybody come up to me and was like, hey, do you want to, I saw you, you're really funny. Do you want to come work at my club? And I think maybe I got into the comedy festival thing a little too late, because it doesn't happen. And also like Just for Laughs is the big one. Yeah, there's the Netflix is a Joke festival now in Los Angeles, but I don't know. I, I don't know. I haven't heard of any big deals coming out of the Netflix is a Joke festival, because to be honest with you, from what I saw, because I live in Los Angeles and I play a lot of those rooms, it's just like, hey, this is just a regular Wednesday night show that now is being branded as the Netflix is a Joke festival. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I don't know. I mean, like there are definitely some big shows. Like I think Burr did the Forum. You know, Seinfeld I think did the Greek. You know, like there are a couple of big name shows like that, but I think the problem is in Los Angeles, that happens all the time. Maybe not Seinfeld because, you know, Seinfeld lives in New York, but you have names popping into the store, the factory, the improv all the time. So I think it's harder to do that festival in LA because, on top of the fact that you have these superstars of comedy who are in Los Angeles all the time, on top of the fact that you have the Dodgers, the Angels, the Kings, the Ducks, the Lakers, the Clippers, and those are just the sports teams. Those are just the sports teams. If you want to go see music on any given night, you go down the Sunset Strip, you go to whatever club, and probably some crazy rock band's playing the Whiskey or the Viper Room or whatever. So I don't know if the Netflix is a Joke festival is as influential as what Just for Laughs was, because Just for Laughs is in Montreal. It's in August. Montreal is a great city. I have family there, but I don't know if there's that much entertainment constantly available in Montreal. So JFL was a big deal. I think Netflix is a Joke. That's a big deal too, I guess. But again, the whole point of comedy festivals was to be able to get in front of bookers and industry people, to be seen, and then to get more work, or to get more money, or to get more representation. Um, I've only been here for less than a day. I haven't seen any industry yet, but again, I got in late last night. I'll do my show tonight. We'll see what happens after that. There was an after party last night, and I went, but it was a long day of travel, and the after party started at midnight. I was like, all right, this is nice. I'm going to bed. And I still slept until 10 o'clock this morning. So that's what comedy festivals are supposed to be. I mean, this has been fun so far. I got to meet some cool comics. I'm excited to see Hannibal Buress. I'm excited to do the show tonight, you know, and to be named to like the, hey, top 5 comics you should watch. And that, I guess I was picked from like all the submissions from around the country for this festival. Cool. That's cool. That's a cool thing to have on the resume. Will it help me get more work? We'll see. We'll see. It's definitely something that's going to go on the resume. But yeah, if you ask me if comedy festivals are worth it, I guess the question is, what do you want to get out of it? You know, I'll do the Slow Festival again because it was like me hanging out with my friends for the weekend and eating pizza and, you know, doing comedy. Have I gotten any work out of it? No, I haven't. The Burbank Festival, I mean, I do that every year because it's my home club, and they're just kind of like, hey, you want to like headline a show this year? Sure. I headlined opposite Leno, by the way. He was in the big room. I was in the little room. And somehow I had a pretty good audience. I liked it. It was fun. The Asian Comedy Festival, that was like, they just tried out a show in LA, and I was on it because I was there. But yeah, I don't know if festivals are worth what they used to be. And there are so many, so many. Like I'll pull up the list at some point and I will, you know what? I'll do it right now. This is from the website, from the Comics Comic, which is I think where I got the list of the festivals that I submitted to. In January, you have 3 festivals: Seattle, San Francisco, and Bermuda. Wet City Comedy Festival, SF Sketchfest, Just for Laughs Bermuda. In February, you have one in Florida, another JFL offshoot in Canada, Australia, St. Louis Obispo. March, there's 8 in March. There's 5 in April. There's another 5 in May. There every month there's a handful of festivals. And at a minimum $25 a pop. You could be potentially spending thousands of dollars just to submit, just to be told no. I'm interested to see how much I spent on comedy festival submissions. And then some of the festivals don't pay for hotels. They don't pay for travel. They don't pay for lodging. Some of them. Some of them do. Some of them put you up. You know, some of them put you up and fly you out. Or you know, if you live close by. I met a bunch of comics last night who were like, "Yeah, I just drove in from Oklahoma City or Dallas or whatever. They're 5 hours away or 3 hours away or whatever it is." So, are they worth it? Again, it comes down to what you want to get out of it. Do you just want to hang out with your friends for a weekend? Sure. Do you want to just waste money? Do you want to just throw money into the ether? $25 a pop at a time? Totally. You can totally make that happen. Do you want to be seen by industry? I don't know if that's what it is anymore. Because like I said, industry can just go to your YouTube page or Instagram or TikTok and see who's trending and see who's popping, and they can see you right there. They can see you right there. Has this been fun so far? I got to see Tulsa. I ate some good food. I ate a steak last night that was, and oh my God, if I got a steak that size in Los Angeles, it would have been hundreds of dollars. I've had fun so far. I've met some nice people. We will see what else comes of this. I'm on a prestigious show tonight. So, yeah. Will I be doing more comedy festivals? I don't know. It's also like, if you've never played in New England and there's a festival up there, submit to it, then, but I don't think festivals are worth what they used to be when it comes to like getting jobs and finding representation and making those industry connections anymore. You can certainly meet comics and get work that way, but who knows? Who knows? This did teach me though, because I traveled for the first time with my guitar, my Grand Cutaway Mini. I remember why I stopped traveling with a guitar. Because normally I have just like my go bag, which is all my computer gear and cameras and lights and microphones and all this stuff. And that's a backpack. That is a big backpack full of stuff. And then a suitcase, like a carry-on roller bag that I can just throw in the overhead. And then I never have to check luggage. I learned that if I'm going to start traveling with a guitar again, I'm either going to have to severely downgrade my equipment bag, or figure out how to fit it all into my suitcase if I'm going to bring a guitar with me. Because, oh, and I am screwed if I do more than like a week of travel and I bring a guitar. Because just this weekend, I'm gone 2.5 days. Really, just one day, because 2 of those days is travel. Like Friday flew out, Sunday I'm flying home. Today is the only day I'm working. And I still had a suitcase, my guitar, and my gear bag. I am not looking forward to September, where I fly to Chicago. I'm in Chicago for however long, and then I immediately fly to Atlanta, and then I'm there for a week. And I'm gonna have all my gear. Like I literally only have one set of clothes, which is my work clothes. This is the one set of like not work clothes that I have. And then I have my gym clothes and my travel clothes. And that's for 2.5 days. I got to go to 2 events next month that are going to require tuxedos. Literally, I have to wear my tuxedo for 2 of these events on top of all the other stuff that I got to do. So, ooh, I think an iPad Pro is in my future with the new update that Apple put on the Macs, which is I'm gonna in a whole nother episode. We're gonna talk about gear that I want to, that gear that I need to bring to every gig, which is what that one bag is for. So those are my thoughts on comedy festivals. Are they worth it? Again, depends on what you want to get out of it. Technology has changed the way the comedy industry works. Festivals are fun. They're fun for the community. They're good for comedy as a whole. But if you want it to like make a difference in your career, maybe some festivals are better for that than others. And having only done 4 ever in my career, I can't give an accurate analysis of all comedy festivals. But if Just for Laughs wants to give me a call, I'm there, totally there. So that's comedy talk for this week. Let's talk about music. Last week, we talked about Emily Wolf's Epiphone White Wolf custom guitar getting broken during a flight from LA to Vegas, I believe. And just the other day, she announced on Instagram that Southwest has decided to fix the guitar. They've decided to do whatever the process is to reimburse her for the damage done to the guitar, which is great that they're taking responsibility for that. That's what it's really about. Because to be honest, she's a Gibson signature artist. She has her own Gibson signature guitar. Even if they're not just giving her another guitar, she's not paying retail. She's paying artist pricing, which I've gotten artist pricing from Gibson. It's a substantial discount, you know? If you're a Gibson artist, you're probably getting a significant discount on the instrument you want, whatever instrument it is you want. But also brand new, the Epiphone White Wolf Sheridan is, I think, like $900 before tax. After tax, it's like $1,000, which is not an insignificant amount of money. It is, that's a lot of money, but compared to some custom shops or a Murphy Lab that could be $35,000, $4,000, upwards of that. But yeah, I'm sure she could just call Gibson and be like, hey, I need a new guitar. Or she could walk into any guitar store and be like, I need a guitar. And she would get, a significant discount on that. The cool thing is, I believe Wildwood Guitars said now now that they've got this resolved, they're actually going to give away one of her guitars, and they're doing a raffle thing. But that's not the point. The point is Southwest Airlines is taking responsibility for what happened to her instrument. That's the important thing. I think that's what we all wanted from this. I don't know if it's because they looked back at the United incident from 2009 when they broke I think Dave Carroll's guitar, and then he wrote a song about how United broke his guitar, his $2,000 or $3,000 Taylor, and instead of paying that $2,000 or $3,000, United refused. He wrote 3 songs about how they broke his guitar, and their stock price dropped 10%, which was like $180 million. So I don't know if Southwest looked at that and just went, maybe we just pay the $1,000 to fix this guitar. Or maybe somewhere in their heart of hearts, they're just like, we should do this. Or somewhere in between, where like they took a lot of heat for that. And in 2009, social media was not what it was. Emily posted that, and I know tens of thousands of people reposted it. It became news stories on websites covering that, not just like guitar websites, but like mainstream websites were covering that. So whatever happened there, Southwest Airlines decided to fix her guitar, or at least pay for the damage. And that is what we wanted. It wasn't about the money. It was take responsibility for this awful thing that your company did. So that's what happened. And I'm glad that happened. I'm glad for Emily. I'm glad for guitarists and working musicians who depend on their instruments. So I'm super happy about that. And this week, because I traveled to Tulsa for the Blue Whale Comedy Festival, I shot part of this podcast in this week's episode before I left. And then I shot another part of it when I got here. So basically now what we're going to do is we're going to cut, the video portion of this is going to cut, and maybe the audio portion too. I haven't figured out that part yet. We're going to cut to me in my studio back home with the Grand Cutaway Mini, the KLOS carbon fiber Grand Cutaway Mini, me taking it apart and getting it ready for travel. And then we're going to cut back to me here in the hotel in Tulsa, putting it back together. And then we will talk about my experience traveling with the instrument when I get back to Los Angeles. So let's time travel back to LA 48 hours ago. Okay, I'm going to take apart my KLOS carbon fiber Grand Cutaway Mini for the first time to get it ready to travel to Tulsa, Oklahoma this weekend for the Blue Whale Comedy Festival. I've got the tools that I need: string winder, Allen wrench, and the capo. I've got my iPhone set to a timer right here. So let's start and see how long this takes. I'm not going to be in a kind of rush. I'm just going to do this correctly. The first thing you want to do is put the capo on. There we go. So you make sure the strings are secured so they don't go crazy when you detach them. I'm going to loosen the strings. If you're watching this on YouTube, I just sped up the footage because it was just 2.5 minutes of me unwinding strings, and that was kind of boring. I gotta tell you, I'm a little nervous about doing this only because I've never done it before. Cool. Grab the little... This is, what is it called? A screwdriver? A screwdriver. And you don't really want to tighten these more than they have to do when you install it. We'll unscrew the last one. This. There. Attach the neck. Boom. Very simple so far. Now, one thing I forgot to get was some tape, because I want to tape down the saddle. At this point, the guitar is officially disassembled. I just had to go find some tape. Black painter's tape. Just want to tape down the saddle. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, I just sped up the footage because it was essentially 2 minutes of me trying to figure out how a case works. This is probably wrong. I'm probably doing this wrong. And then I take this part of the case. This feels wrong. This feels wrong. I know this folds down because it's supposed to, but that other part, the neck, is supposed to... Well, I mean, we're at 7.5 minutes the guitar has been taken apart. It's actually been taken apart since 5.5 minutes. Let's see how long it takes for Thom to figure out how this works. Oh, that's right. That's right. Do this, and then unzip that part, right? Uh-huh. Maybe this is how it works? It was, in fact, not how it works. Now, this is the part of the video where I realized that the neck can't go inside the case. It actually has to be attached to the other side of the case. It actually has to be pulled through, and really, it should be pulled through before I put it in the neck pocket, but that's a discussion for a later time. And boom, there you have it. 11 minutes and 15 seconds. And most of that was trying to figure out how the gig bag worked. Again, first time I've done it. Does this look like it will fit underneath an airline seat? I'm gonna be honest with you, it doesn't. But then again, my computer bag doesn't look like it'll fit under a seat. Will it fit in an overhead compartment? Absolutely. How do I feel about that? I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to trust airlines, considering what just happened to Emily Wolf's guitar recently, which was in a hard shell travel case. But again, this is carbon fiber. You know, it's pretty sturdy. It's taking up a smaller footprint. So we'll see what happens tomorrow when I get to the airport. 24 hours later. All right, so we are here in my hotel room in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't know why I made that scary voice, but I'm here for the Blue Whale Comedy Festival. Tonight, I'm doing the Next Wave Comics to Watch show, and this is my first out-of-town travel gig where I had to fly with my KLOS guitars, Grand Carbon Fiber Grand Cutaway Mini. It's so many words. When I played in San Diego, I just drove down there from Los Angeles. But I shot the video before I left of me taking apart. That took like, I think, 10 minutes? I think it took longer to pack it into the bag, but we're gonna put it back together here in my hotel room to get it ready for the gig tonight in Tulsa. All right, here's a stopwatch. We're gonna hit start. And let's see, unpack the headstock, unpack the neck part, take the neck out. Strings are all crazy. Strings are all crazy up in this bitch. They are all crazy. Take out the bolts and whatnot. Whatnot. Pull the neck through the case. Because, you know, I don't know, that's the way it is. I'm going to put it on the case because, you know, I'm not really worried about it getting dinged up or whatever because it's carbon fiber, but all right, so this is insane. This string situation is insane. See, I mean, the strings are they all tangled? I think the strings are all tangled a little bit. Oh, these are fucked. I mean, they're in, you know, pretty much the right place. Gotta get them on the nut there. We're at 1:45, just taking it out. And I'm not rushing. I'm not going super fast. I'm not like in a hurry to get this done. This is just how I normally would do it. And by normally, I mean this is the first time I've done it. Hey, it's Tom again from the future. If you're watching this on YouTube, you'll notice that I'm speeding up the footage again because it was just 5 minutes and 40 seconds of me putting the bolts in and getting the strings up to tension and then starting to tune them. But if you notice, there's still a piece of black tape over the saddle because I put that there to keep it from falling out during transit. And right around now is when I realized, oh, you know what? I forgot to take the tape off of the saddle. That's the thing I forgot to do. All right, we're speeding up the footage again on YouTube because it was just 40 seconds of me loosening the strings and cursing so I could get the tape off the saddle. Didn't take too long, but it was just really a lot of me swearing. There we go. Wasn't too bad. Take the tape off the saddle. All right. All right, so this is the last portion of the video where I'm just speeding up the footage because it's really just me tuning the guitar. I can't tell you it took about 10 minutes from from getting that tape off to getting it tuned up. I had to get it back up to tension and tune up the guitar. But I can't tell you, I was a little worried about how kinked up the strings were, but that was probably because I didn't really put it in the bag correctly. But, you know, at the end of the day, once it got tightened up and tuned up, it worked just fine. All right, so that took about 19 minutes. Most of that because I had to take off the tape from the saddle that I forgot to take it off. But, you know, under 20 minutes from breakdown to tune up. I think it took 5 minutes to put together, and then it took longer to tune up to tension. But there we go. It's ready for tonight. The cool thing is, because of the built-in indicator, it's telling me the pickup, the battery in the pickup is getting low. So instead of guessing and, you know, having to throw in new batteries, I'll just plug it in the USB-C and charge it up before tonight. And as you can see, I played the guitar that night. It sounded great, played great, and I really love this thing. Second verse. All right, so I am back in Los Angeles after a fun weekend in Tulsa for the Blue Whale Comedy Festival. Here are my final thoughts after my first air travel trip with this guitar. So sound and playability have never been a question with the Grand Cutaway Mini. So let's just get that out of the way. People have been saying that carbon fiber doesn't sound as good as wood. Well, this sounds great. I love the way it sounds. I love the way it plays. Now for the reason I was drawn to this instrument and the brand in the first place. Traveling with it. Breaking it down and putting it back together are super fast and super easy. Really, you saw it in the video. It took like 5 minutes to take apart or put together. Getting it in the gig bag and tuning it up, on the other hand, were really the two most time-consuming parts of the process. But it took like 15 to 20 minutes either way. Now, would it have been quicker and easier to just take it out of a hard case and start playing it? Yeah, sure. But I liked sitting in a plane for 5 hours, not wondering if the luggage crew was throwing my premium instrument around, whether it's carbon fiber or not. And how much time would I have had to waste going to buy a new guitar if I arrived in Tulsa for my gig and the headstock was broken? As for the air travel itself, I was 4-0 traveling with this, meaning I had a connecting flight coming and going in either direction, so I had 4 flights total. And every time I would put the guitar in the overhead compartment, and the flight attendant would come up to me and say, "Hey, can we put this in the closet up front so someone can put their roller bag in the overhead?" Every time. And the first time, I even asked the flight attendant if I could put it in the closet, and he said, "Oh, there's no room." Just for him to come back later and say, "Oh, hey, I found room." Did you? Really? Did you just not want to put it there in the first place? So traveling with this has been super easy as a carry-on. Every time they just wound up putting it in the closet, which meant I had space in the seat in front of me because I put my other bag in the overhead compartment. So that hasn't been a problem. It was kind of annoying to have to take it apart to fly to one gig, put it back together, and then just a day later, take it apart again just to fly home. That would have been an instance where just having it in a case would have been great. But then again, having a case means I probably would have to check it, which defeats the entire purpose of getting this guitar. So at the end of the day, it plays great, sounds great, travels great, and I actually got a bunch of really great compliments. People came up to me after the gig in Tulsa and asked me if it was carbon fiber. So overall rating for this trip with this guitar, 9 out of 10. I wish the gig bag was a little sturdier, and I kept getting the zipper stuck on the inside padding, but that probably was user error on my part. So that's it for this week's episode of Comedy on 11. I hope you enjoyed our talk about comedy festivals and watching me try to put a guitar in a gig bag as if I have never seen a gig bag before in my life. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Remember to hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends about the show. Next week, I think we're going to talk about gear that I absolutely need to bring to every gig. Not just guitar gear, live performance gear. Remember to follow me on all the socials at _Thom Tran, THOMTRAN. You can follow the show at Comedy on 11 Pod. Thanks again. Stay cool, stay fun, and turn the laughs up to 11.